Good news, it's back together and running. And now that I finally have a 615 to 515 adapter, I can finally run this on proper 220 voltage, and it is much stronger than it was, which is fantastic. And I just thought I would do kind of a preview on this and show some of its tools. So the dusting brush here, as you pull it back, the bristles get longer and, allow you to dust more softly. And as you push it forward, they stiffen up. So that's neat. Upholstery tool, pretty basic looking, but this is all vents all the way around. I didn't realize that until I tried it and noticed that it wasn't really sticking to the surface, and I could hear a hissing noise. So I'm like, what's going on here? Crevice tool. And then we have this brush that'll fit over the end of the crevice tool. Now, this is a telescopic wand, so you just twist this and you can collapse it. And the end here swivels, but it always has an angle to it. I don't really get why. Well, hard to do one-handed, but yeah, no matter which way you pivot this, it's always going to have an angle. I don't like that. It seems like it'd be kind of awkward to use, but. And then we have the hose. Now, the hose is interesting because this strap here is actually built into here, and if we just pivot this cuff, it retracts the strap. Isn't that neat? So it's like, you can use this thing as like a shoulder canister. You just have to attach it to one of the various points here. They have a point here, and then there's one on the top of the bag housing here, which you would clip this piece onto. And then, of course, your other attachment point would be the connector. Now, I don't have the power head for it yet. I have one that's being imported from Germany. Should be here, I think it said the 12th, but who knows? It might take a little bit longer. And I think there's supposed to be a way for this to sit fairly nicely, but well, maybe not. And then we have this floor tool here. And it's reversible. It's got brushes on one side, and on the other side of here, it has like these 3 felt pads. There we go. So you can have the felt, or you can have the brushes. And then you just clip it back on. Now, the machine itself. The air path starts here and it actually runs through this tube into the bag housing and then down to the motor, which is about here. And it does have an exhaust, here it is, the exhaust grate here. This is just like a carrying handle. This is a release for the tools, and then this is also a release for the tools. There's a little string that runs in here that allows you to disconnect it. We have the power button up here, as well as the speed control. And I only have a bag in here right now. I don't have any of the filters, because there would be like a HEPA after filter that goes down here. And then there is we have the bag, and then there's supposed to be a pre-motor filter down here. Now, I do have replacements for them on order, but I believe they too are coming from overseas, so it'll be a little while. But this is actually a self-closing bag, because as you can see, that little arm kind of dragged over that and shut it. So that's kind of neat. And then, of course, that is supposed to prevent the machine from being shut without a bag in it. Now, this will be hard to do as a one-handed process, so I'll pause here to reinsert. And interestingly enough, you can remove the handle on here entirely. You just press this little button up here and you can take the cord plug out and you can plug it right into here when you're using it for like above the floor cleaning. I know some of the models have like a speed switch that is built onto the handle here, and that would just meet up with a little piece of plastic on the slider and allow you to control it from there. Now this one doesn't have that, and I realistically could buy one, but you know, of course, with this being a 220 machine, I don't see myself using it a whole lot, so you know, just another carrying handle. I really should have taken a photo of the insides of this, and I think I meant to and then just kind of forgot to. But I've given you guys an overview, so let's take a quick measurement down here. I'll do a more complete test when we actually have the power nozzle for it, to the EB351. It's pretty similar to the one that's on my Vorwerk 120 or 122. But I did initially run I ran a suction test on this with the machine plugged into a 120 power source at the end of the hose, and I was only getting about 20 inches of lift. But just yesterday, I ran it again, just on here, and I was getting about 60, which, considering this is a 550 watt motor, I think, seems to be about where it should be. But let's take some quick measurements and you guys can get an idea of how this will perform. Alright, so the inlet here being triangular, it doesn't really meet up with this cone very well. Fortunately, I do have an adapter that will allow me to put a 32mm or 35mm connection on there, so hopefully we'll be able to get slightly more accurate numbers, but I just think of this as like a pre-test, so let's turn this on and up to max. And then here we are at the end of the hose.